Listen to me and listen with your soul, because this is the truth that separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the titans, the curious from the committed. Successful people don't have more time, they have more respect for it. Time is life's most merciless teacher. It rewards the focus and devours the distraction. You can't negotiate with time. You can't bargain with it. You can't pause it, stretch it, or borrow it. You can only spend it. And every second you waste is a piece of your future you'll never get back. The clock doesn't stop for your fear. It doesn't slow down for your sadness. It doesn't freeze when you feel lost. While you're doubting, someone else is doing. While you're sleeping on your dream, someone else is building theirs. Successful people understand one thing. You don't manage time, you master yourself. Because time is not the problem, you are. Time is loyal to discipline and ruthless to distraction. The clock isn't your enemy, your procrastination is, your excuses are, your comfort is. So the real question isn't, how much time do I have? But what will I become in the time I'm given? You see, time is a mirror. It reflects your values back to you. It shows you what you really care about, not by what you say, but by what you do. You can tell me all day that you want to be successful. But if your calendar is filled with distractions, your mouth is lying, and your habits are telling the truth. Every day, you either discipline your schedule or your schedule disciplines you. And most people never realize time doesn't steal your life. Neglect does. Every "I'll do it tomorrow" is a quiet funeral for another opportunity. Every "I don't feel like it" is another brick in the wall that blocks your destiny. Successful people don't wait to feel ready. They move because they understand something you don't. Time doesn't care how you feel. It only cares what you do. You've got to stop treating your minutes like they're free. They're not. Every minute costs you something potential, peace, purpose. Every distraction is a thief dressed in comfort. Every wasted hour is a silent betrayal of your future self. When you realize that, your relationship with time changes forever. Successful people aren't faster, they're clearer. They know exactly what matters, and they protect it like their life depends on it, because it does. They don't chase 10 things and master none. They pick one mountain and climb it with blood, sweat, and conviction. They don't glorify busyness, they worship focus. Because here's the truth, being busy is not the same as being productive. Noise is not progress. Motion is not mastery. You can spend your entire life moving in circles and still call it effort. You have to learn to cut what doesn't count. You have to learn to say no to good things so you can say yes to great ones. You have to understand that time is not just passing, it's pricing. Every yes costs you 100 hidden no's. The successful have mastered the art of protecting their purpose. They schedule their priorities. They don't prioritize their schedule. They wake up with intention, not reaction. They don't check notifications, they check direction. Because they know one truth. The world is not designed to protect your time, it's designed to steal it. There are companies, apps, platforms, and products, all fighting for a slice of your attention, and whoever wins that war controls your future. So you better learn to fight back. You've got to declare war on distraction. You've got to build a wall around your focus. You've got to guard your energy like a fortress, because everything valuable in life demands protection. Time is your currency, and you're the only one who decides what it's worth. Every hour is an investment. The question is, in what? Are you investing your hours in growth or gossip, creation or consumption, building something or escaping something? Successful people live by this code. If it doesn't move me forward, it doesn't move me at all. They've learned that saying yes to everything means saying no to excellence. They've learned that boundaries are blessings, not burdens. They've learned that success isn't found in addition, it's found in elimination. You can't fill your day with nonsense and expect a masterpiece. Your life is your canvas, and time is your paint. Every stroke matters. Every color choice matters. Every delay dulls the vision. So stop waiting for inspiration and start building discipline. Inspiration starts the fire, but discipline keeps it burning when motivation dies. Successful people don't wake up motivated every morning, they wake up responsible. They know that success is not emotional, it's mechanical. They don't rely on moods, they rely on methods. They've built systems that succeed even when they're tired, discouraged, or uninspired. Because mastery doesn't depend on feeling. It depends on faith. Faith in the process, faith in repetition, faith in the idea that showing up matters even when it doesn't shine. You have to stop letting your emotions dictate your effort. You'll never build a legacy if your work ethic collapses every time you don't feel like it. Alder, there will never be a perfect day. There will never be a time when everything aligns. The myth of someday is the biggest lie ever sold to humanity. Someday doesn't exist. It's the graveyard of greatness. Every dream that died waiting for someday. Successful people know that now is all they have. Now is the only real estate of power. Now is the only moment you can build something eternal. You can't change yesterday, and you can't guarantee tomorrow, but you can dominate today. Mastering time starts with mastering the moment in front of you. You've got to train yourself to live in seconds of significance. You can't afford to waste minutes of meaning. While others scroll, you study. While others rest, you rehearse. While others gossip, you grow. And it's not about hustling endlessly, it's about living intentionally. Because success isn't about how much you do, it's about how deliberately you do it. Successful people don't fill their calendars, they fulfill them. Every appointment, every hour, every meeting is connected to the mission. They understand that busyness is vanity and clarity is victory. Every morning, they rise with a question. If today were my last day, what would deserve my time? And that question keeps them aligned. That question filters the noise. That question reminds them that time is not infinite, but impact can be. The problem is not that you don't have enough time. The problem is that you've been giving too much of it to things that don't deserve it. Your life is leaking through 1,000 small yeses. So stop waiting for permission to protect your peace. Stop apologizing for saying no. Stop treating your focus like it's rude. You don't owe your availability to everyone. You owe your time to your purpose. You're not supposed to be everywhere. You're supposed to be effective somewhere. Because greatness requires focus, and focus requires sacrifice. To master time, you must first master your attention. Attention is the new gold. Whoever controls your attention controls your destiny. And every day someone's trying to buy it from you cheap with gossip, with noise, with comparison, with comfort. Stop selling your attention for likes. Stop renting your purpose for approval. Stop trading your hours for distraction. You are not here to entertain your weakness. You are here to expand your will. Time is not your enemy, it's your evidence. It reveals who you are becoming. And the people who master it don't wait for the world to make room for their dreams. They make time serve their dreams. They get up early when the world is quiet and their purpose can speak. They schedule solitude like others schedule meetings. They create time instead of complaining about it. Because when you master your time, you master your life. When you master your life, you master your destiny. And destiny doesn't belong to the lucky, it belongs to the deliberate. There's a reason most people never rise beyond average. They don't respect the invisible. They only act when the results are visible, when someone's watching, when there's a reward attached. But success lives in the invisible hours, the early mornings, the quiet nights, the moments nobody celebrates. That's where mastery happens. Successful people have trained their minds to be loyal to discipline, not to dopamine. They don't chase the next spark of excitement. They build systems that burn steadily through the dark. Because time mastery isn't about squeezing more hours into your day, it's about squeezing more meaning into your hours. You've got to stop glorifying busy and start glorifying better. You've got to stop chasing speed and start cultivating stillness. Successful people understand that speed without direction is a spiral. Movement without meaning is madness. You can be running hard in the wrong direction and still lose the race. So they slow down to aim before they accelerate. They take time to think, to plan, to prioritize. You've got to learn the discipline of saying no, not just to others, but to yourself. To the part of you that loves delay disguised as preparation. To the voice that says, one more scroll, one more snack, one more nap, one more day. That voice is not rest, it's resistance. It's time's thief wearing comfort's clothing. Every minute you spend indulging it, your potential decays a little more. Successful people understand that success doesn't come from intensity. It comes from consistency. They show up every day, no matter how they feel, no matter who's watching, no matter what's trending. Because mastery is repetition, under pressure. If you can keep doing the small things well when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're unseen, you will own your future. They don't wait for motivation to knock. They manufacture it through movement. They don't rely on moods, they rely on methods. They know that habits are stronger than hope. You see, most people waste their time trying to fix their feelings instead of training their focus. They try to think their way into action instead of acting their way into change. But motion creates clarity. Discipline creates freedom. You'll never feel ready. Readiness is built through repetition. Successful people treat their time like sacred ground. They know that who and what you allow into your schedule determines your spiritual temperature. That's why they protect their peace. They audit their circle. They understand that every relationship is either a deposit or a withdrawal, either fueling their future or draining it. And they don't confuse kindness with access. You can love people without letting them waste your time. You can be generous with your heart and still guarded with your hours, because time is love, and you teach people how to treat both. You've got to learn to leave conversations that cost you energy and bring you no elevation. You've got to learn to exit rooms that echo your excuses instead of your excellence. The successful have mastered that art. They don't chase validation, they chase alignment. They don't look for approval, they look for advancement. Because every yes to the wrong thing delays the right one. So stop saying yes to what you've already outgrown. Time is a gardener. It reveals what you plant. If you plant distraction, you'll harvest delay. If you plant discipline, you'll harvest destiny. And that's the difference between the world's top 1% and everyone else. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not magic. It's management. They manage energy like investors manage wealth. They don't throw it around hoping something hits. They direct it with precision. Every morning is a board meeting with their future. Every decision is a contract with destiny. They understand that time doesn't respond to excuses, it responds to execution. You can't complain your way into control. You can't pray for progress while living in procrastination. If you want to master time, you must first master your choices. Each second is a seed. What you plant will return multiplied. That's why successful people guard what they feed their minds. They don't start the day with chaos. They don't begin with noise. They start with stillness, strategy, and gratitude. Because how you start your morning sets the tempo of your time. Your morning determines your momentum, and your momentum determines your meaning. They rise before the world demands them. They pray, plan, move, and prepare. While others sleep, they sharpen. While others drift, they decide. That's not obsession, that's order. Because when you take control of your morning, you take command of your mission. You can't live your purpose if you wake up in panic. You can't build an empire from a bed of excuses. The moment your eyes open, the fight begins. You either conquer the clock or the clock conquers you. So wake up with a plan. Wake up with intention. Wake up like your time is a battlefield, because it is. Every day, the forces of distraction, delay, and doubt are at war for your attention. And if you don't protect it, they'll win quietly, slowly, completely. Successful people don't lose their time, they assign it. Every hour has a purpose. Every task has a reason. Every minute has meaning. They understand that clarity is the weapon that defeats chaos. They don't live by default, they live by design. Every morning, they choose to decide before the world decides for them. Because if you don't set your priorities, someone else will. And when you let others own your time, you give them control of your life. You've got to learn to be selfish with your schedule so you can be selfless with your success. You can't pour into others if you're pouring from emptiness. You can't lead if your own life is leaking. So slow down, recenter, reclaim your rhythm. Time mastery begins with awareness, knowing where your minutes go, where your energy flows, and who you become in the process. Awareness creates accountability. Accountability creates accuracy. Accuracy creates alignment. And alignment creates acceleration. You can't accelerate what you don't align. When you're aligned, time bends for you. You stop chasing the clock, and the clock starts serving your mission. The universe has a way of honoring those who honor their hours. When you steward your time well, opportunities find you faster. When you waste it, they vanish quietly. That's why successful people live like time is sacred. because it is. Every second is a fragment of eternity, and once it's gone, it never returns. So don't waste it on gossip. Don't waste it on guilt. Don't waste it on waiting. Every breath you take is divine permission to begin again. You can start over. You can restructure your days. You can rewrite your rhythms. Stop saying, I don't have time. You have time. You just have too much noise. Time is not missing. Focus is. And when you find your focus, you'll find your freedom. The greatest tragedy in life is not running out of time. It's never realizing what your time was for. You can spend your whole life chasing seconds and still waste years if your soul has no direction. You can have the best planner, the best apps, the best routines, and still be lost if your purpose is unclear. Successful people don't just manage time, they assign meaning to it. They know why they're here, and that clarity becomes their compass. Purpose makes time sacred. When you know your why, every hour becomes holy. Every task becomes a testament. Every challenge becomes a chapter in a story worth living. But when you don't know your purpose, time becomes punishment. The days feel longer, the work feels heavier, and life becomes a loop, the same week recycled 52 times a year. You've got to stop counting time and start making time count, because the clock is not measuring your minutes, it's measuring your meaning. You want to know how successful people master their time? They stop measuring progress by hours worked and start measuring it by impact created. They've learned that activity is not the same as achievement. Most people mistake movement for momentum. They think busyness means growth, but busyness is often the disguise of fear. The fear of stillness, the fear of focus, the fear of finding out what truly matters. Successful people have learned to sit with silence and face themselves. They don't need constant noise to feel alive. They create from stillness. They know that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers. In the quiet, they reconnect with purpose. And once purpose is restored, priorities become clear. When you know what matters most, it becomes easier to cut what doesn't. You've got to get ruthless with your time, not cruel, but clear. Every minute spent on the meaningless is theft from your mission. So stop giving energy to things that don't deserve your attention. Stop chasing validation from people who don't even value your growth. You're not here to please everyone, you're here to perform your purpose. And purpose demands precision. You can't be sharp if you keep touching everything. You can't be powerful if you're spread thin. You can't be excellent if you're exhausted by distractions. Successful people treat their focus like a sacred fire. They don't let just anyone near it. Because focus is fragile. One careless conversation can dim your drive. One small compromise can delay your destiny. One moment of comfort can cost you years of clarity. That's why they live deliberately. They don't find time, they forge it. They carve it out of chaos, protect it with conviction, and use it with reverence. They live like every day is borrowed, like every breath is an investment. They understand something most never grasp. The clock is not your enemy. The crowd is. The crowd loves to waste your time. The crowd wants company, not clarity. The crowd wants you busy, not better. That's why successful people separate. They create space to think, to plan, to grow. They understand that solitude is not isolation, it's incubation. In solitude, visions are born. In solitude, greatness takes root. You can't build something eternal if you're always surrounded by noise. You've got to make peace with being misunderstood. You've got to make peace with being alone. You've got to make peace with missing out, because you're not missing out, you're moving up. Mastery requires sacrifice. You can't complain about the life you don't have while clinging to the habits that built the one you do. So if you want a new level, you've got to let go of your old normal. That's what successful people do. They don't fear letting go. They don't mourn what time takes from them. They celebrate what it makes possible. They know that every ending is just the beginning of refinement. They respect time's process, even when it's painful. You see, there's such a thing as divine timing. The universe doesn't rush creation. The sun doesn't rise before its time. The seed doesn't bloom in the same season it's planted. Successful people have learned to move with divine rhythm, not human anxiety. They know that impatience is arrogance, the belief that your timing is better than destiny's. So they prepare while they wait. They work while others worry. They plant while others panic. They understand that waiting isn't wasting, it's working in disguise. Because while you're waiting, time is testing your readiness. Time is asking, can you handle what you're asking for. It's refining you in silence, stripping what's shallow, strengthening what's real. When you master time, you stop begging for blessings you're not ready to manage. You start becoming the kind of person your future requires. You realize that success isn't about what you acquire. It's about who you must become to sustain it. So while others are counting followers, you're counting habits. While others are chasing fame, you're chasing discipline. While others are wasting time, you're weaponizing it. And that's what separates winners from wanderers, how they handle time when no one's watching. Because time reveals truth. It shows who's serious and who's just performing. It exposes who's consistent and who's convenient. Successful people aren't perfect, they're patient. They play the long game. They know that empires aren't built overnight, they're built every night, in the quiet grind, in the repetition, in the resistance. And when failure comes, because it will, they don't run. They review, they learn, they adjust, they stay in rhythm. Because when you understand time, you understand this. Setbacks are not stops, they are signals. Signals that redirect you, not reject you. Time uses failure as a teacher, not a punishment. So if you fall, fall forward. If you lose, lose wisely. If you break, break beautifully. The time you spend rebuilding yourself is never wasted. Every scar becomes a timestamp of survival. Every delay becomes a divine appointment in disguise. That's why successful people never curse time. They cooperate with it. They understand that mastery isn't about speed, it's about sequence. And when the timing of your actions matches the tempo of your destiny, you enter what I call flow. Flow is when life stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like a rhythm. When your work feels aligned, your days feel alive, and your heart feels anchored, it's when time stops being your enemy and starts being your evidence proof that you were made for this. You've got to get to that level. You've got to rise above reaction and live in rhythm, because that's where the power is. The clock won't wait for you, but it will work for you if you know how to move with it. Your time was given to you as both a gift and a test. A gift because you can shape it, a test because you can waste it. So shape it wisely. Spend it with reverence. Use it like your life depends on it, because it does. And remember, success is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most. You can't control the length of your life, but you can control the depth of your time. You can't add more hours, but you can add more honor to the ones you have. So rise up every morning and remind yourself, this day will never come again. Make it count, make it holy, make it yours, because that's what successful people do. They don't just live through time, they live for it. Every breath is an assignment. Every hour is a mission. Every moment is a miracle in disguise. And if you treat it that way, if you live like time is sacred, then one day, when the final sunset comes, you won't cry for more hours. You'll smile because you used them. You owned them. You honored them. And that, my friend, is mastery. There will come a day, and it may come soon, when you look back at your life and realize that time was never your enemy. It was your greatest ally. It was whispering all along, use me while you have me. Don't wait until I'm gone to wish you had listened, because the clock isn't counting down your doom, it's counting up your destiny. Every second is a drumbeat of possibility. Every sunrise is a signal that mercy has renewed its contract with you. And yet how many people treat that grace like garbage? How many wake up breathing but never live? How many have potential that never becomes purpose because they traded their minutes for mediocrity? You are not one of them. You can't be. Not if you've made it this far, because something inside you already knows you were not born to drift. You were born to dominate. You were born to take the clay of every moment and shape it into something eternal. You were born to live with urgency, to move with intention, to love with fire. Successful people understand that time mastery is not about control. It's about calling. It's not about manipulating hours. It's about multiplying impact. They know that time expands for those who use it well. That 1 hour of focus is worth 10 hours of distraction. That one decision made in faith can rewrite a decade of delay. They know that when you honor time, time honors you. So they live with rhythm, not reaction. They act as if every day is a divine rehearsal for eternity. And when you start living like that, the world begins to change shape. You stop chasing things that don't fit your purpose. You stop wasting energy explaining your urgency to people who've made peace with wasting theirs. You stop apologizing for the intensity that your calling demands, because you realize not everyone was built for this tempo. Not everyone was called for this climb. Some will think you're too focused, too driven, too obsessed. But that's only because they've never seen what it looks like when a human being masters their time. When a person stops being owned by the clock and starts owning the moment, it's different. It's magnetic. It's divine. Because time mastery isn't about doing more, it's about becoming more. It's about realizing that the same hours that break others can build you. That the same minutes people waste on excuses can be turned into empires. That the same 24 hours everyone has in your hands can create a legacy that outlives you. You've got to rise every morning like your name is on the clock, like the universe is waiting for your command. Don't wake up asking, what time is it? Wake up asking, what is time waiting for me to do? Because your time isn't random, it's strategic. You are living in this moment, in this era, for a reason. You were sent here to do something that can't be done later. That's why you feel the urgency. That's why you can't sleep on your dream. That's why you feel like something inside you is constantly pulling you higher. It's your destiny calling. Don't waste me. You can't delay destiny and expect it to stay loyal. You've got to move. You've got to act. You've got to fight for focus like your freedom depends on it, because it does. Time is freedom's currency. You can't be free and waste time. You can't be powerful and be distracted. You can't be fulfilled and be inconsistent. Success isn't a product of chance. It's the reward for discipline. Discipline is the proof that you've made peace with the price of greatness. And that's what time asks from you, the price, the daily tax of discipline, the hourly cost of commitment. It's not easy, it's not glamorous, it's not always inspiring, but it's holy. Because every act of discipline is a prayer in motion. Every moment of focus is faith expressed through effort. Every hour spent wisely is worship to the gift of existence itself. When you treat time as sacred, life treats you as significant. You start to walk differently. You start to speak with authority. You stop wasting words, wasting days, wasting chances. Your life becomes sharp, clean, deliberate, and people will notice. They'll say, you've changed. And you'll smile because you know you didn't change, you aligned. You aligned your actions with your assignment. You aligned your calendar with your calling. You aligned your minutes with your mission. You started living by design, not default. That's mastery. Successful people don't pray for more time, they pray for better use of it. They know the miracle isn't in the minutes, it's in the management. Because if you can manage your time, you can manage your mind. And if you can manage your mind, you can master your world. Your life is a reflection of how you treat your hours. If you waste them, life will waste you. But if you invest them, life will multiply you. Time is the seed, you are the soil. Whatever you plant in it grows. So what are you planting? Complaints or commitment? Distraction or determination? Excuses or excellence? You decide. And every decision writes your destiny in invisible ink. One day, time will reveal what you did with it. And when it does, what will your hours say about you? Will they testify that you spent your life running from your calling, or that you ran toward it with fire in your soul? Will they say you drifted, or will they say you dominated? Will they say you wasted your gift, or that you worshipped it through work? Because the clock is keeping score, and it never lies. It remembers every delay, every excuse, every wasted opportunity. But it also remembers every morning you rose tired but moved anyway. Every night you worked while others slept. Every moment you pushed past fear and chose focus. And when you live like that, when your days become devotion, you don't just master time, you transcend it. You create impact that lives beyond the limits of hours. You leave fingerprints on eternity. That's the secret of the successful. They don't live for the moment. They live from the moment. They pull power from presence. They pour purpose into every second. And when the final day comes, when the last clock strikes, when the curtain of time closes, they leave with no regret because they lived like it mattered. That's the power of time mastery. It's not about squeezing life, it's about expanding your legacy. It's about making the kind of impact that whispers through generations long after your name is gone. Because one person who masters their time can change a family. One family that masters their time can change a community. One community that masters their time can change the world. That's what you're here for. Not to count your days, but to make your days count for something eternal. So wake up and own it. Wake up and command it. Wake up and declare, this is my time, my season, my hour, my moment, my responsibility. The past had its chance, the future will have its day. But today belongs to me. Every breath I take, I will invest. Every minute I live, I will make matter. Every second I'm given, I will use for growth, for greatness, for God. Because I am done living on delay. I am done surrendering to distraction. I am done waiting for the world to give me permission to move. I am not here to manage time. I am here to master it. I am here to use it, to mold it, to multiply it. I am here to live on purpose every second, every day, every year, until time itself applauds me. And when that final bell rings and time whispers, your shift is over, I'll smile, because I will know I didn't waste it. I worked it. I wrestled it. I honored it. And I won.
You are not here by accident. You were chosen long before the world ever knew your name. There is something different about you, something sacred and unseen by the natural eye. You carry within you the seed of divine destiny. And whether you know it or not, life has been whispering to you, calling you upward, inward, into the remembrance of your true identity. That stirring you feel, that unrest, that desire for more, it is the call of the chosen. But the chosen are not just called to dream, they are called to protect the dream, to guard the vision, to shelter the word that has been planted deep within the heart. For there are forces in this world, some loud and obvious, others subtle and disguised, that seek to strip you of your awareness, to distract you, to drain your energy, to convince you that you are nothing more than what you see in the mirror, or what others say you are. You must protect yourself not with fists or walls, but with consciousness, with awareness, with the clarity of who you are, and the unwavering vision of what you carry within. Every chosen one faces this moment, the moment where the illusion of the world tries to overtake the reality of the unseen, where the outer seems more real than the inner, where you are tempted to believe the facts over the truth. But you must remember, you were never meant to live by sight. You were designed to live by inner knowing, by faith, by the unseen law that shapes reality from within. Before it's too late, before the distractions take root, before the noise grows louder than the whisper, before you become numb to the very thing that once made your spirit leap, you must come back to center, protect your mind, guard your thoughts. Every thought is a seed, and every seed becomes a harvest. What you dwell on, you become. What you assume to be true takes form. What you emotionally accept as real becomes your world. This is why the chosen must be deliberate. The chosen must be disciplined, not in body alone, but in consciousness. You cannot afford to entertain every voice, every opinion, every fearful thought. You cannot afford to let the patterns of the past dictate the future that belongs to the higher version of yourself. The world may call it delusion, but it is divine design. This radical inner alignment to the life you have not yet seen with the outer eye, but already know to be true within. There are people who once saw the light in you and then turned away. There are those who once walked with you, but could not walk where you are going. Don't grieve their absence. The chosen must sometimes walk alone, not because they are unloved, but because they are being led by a voice no one else can hear. Protect that voice. Protect the word. Protect the vision. It is your lifeline in a world that would rather you forget who you are. This is not about being better than others. It is about being faithful to the call. You cannot be casual with your calling and expect it to manifest with power. You cannot sleep through your own awakening and expect the life you dream of to materialize on its own. You must wake up. You must rise. You must choose every day, every hour, to step into the version of you that already exists in the unseen and pull it into the now. If you do not protect yourself, the world will define you. It will limit you. It will tell you who you are, not in what you cannot do. It will name you by your failures, label you by your history, and drown out the inner witness that says you were made for more. But the chosen cannot afford to be passive. The chosen must speak with authority, walk in vision, and move in alignment with their inner truth, even when the outer says otherwise. You are not who the world told you to be. You are not your mistakes. You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not the limitations you were taught to believe. You are not your bank account, your background, or your circumstances. You are consciousness. You are spirit clothed in flesh. You are the Word made manifest. You are the answer to a question the world has long forgotten how to ask. But if you do not protect that knowing, it will be buried beneath layers of doubt and delay. Procrastination will rob you. Fear will bind you. Distraction will seduce you. And soon, the thing you were once sure of will begin to feel like a distant dream. This is how it happens, not all at once, but little by little. A letting go here, a compromise there. Until one day you forget the power you once felt when you believed. Don't let that happen. Protect yourself. Guard your imagination. Speak only what you desire to see. Think only what aligns with your highest self. Associate only with those who feed your spirit and confirm your identity. Not by flattery, but by resonance. Not everyone can go where you are going. And that's okay. The chosen were never called to blend in. You were called to be light. And light does not apologize for shining. There is a shift happening now. You can feel it. The things that used to work no longer satisfy. The places you used to run to for comfort now feel hollow. The identities you used to wear like armor now feel too small. That is the sign. That is the invitation. But if you ignore it, if you keep pretending you're not chosen, if you keep shrinking to fit in, if you keep silencing the call within, you will miss the moment. Protect yourself before it's too late. Before you lose the fire. Before you start to believe the lie. Before you settle for what was never meant to be yours. There is still time. But time only serves those who are awake. The moment is now. The power is within, and you, yes, you are the chosen one. You have always known there was something more. Even as a child, before the world taught you to doubt. Before you inherited fear that wasn't yours. You knew there was a silent knowing within you, a pull you couldn't name. You looked at life differently. You saw beneath the surface. You felt things others ignored. You listened to that still, small voice, even when it went against the noise of the crowd. That wasn't imagination. It was insight. It was the whisper of the truth calling you to remember what you came here to do. You didn't come here to conform. You didn't come to play small, to beg for validation, to trade your truth for approval. You came here to awaken. You came here to remember. You came here to create from the power within, not react to the limitations without. But you must protect that remembrance, because this world, this system is designed to keep you asleep, to keep you distracted, to keep you busy, proving yourself instead of embodying your truth. And if you're not watchful, you will trade your power for comfort, your calling for convenience. The chosen cannot afford such trades. You cannot live like everyone else, because you do not carry what everyone else carries. You are holding a frequency that must be preserved, a vibration that must be guarded, not with paranoia, but with purpose. This means you must be intentional about what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, who you spend time with, not because you are better, but because you are becoming the living expression of something higher, something sacred, something unseen. And becoming is not passive. It is not a process that unfolds while you drift through life half awake. No. Becoming requires vigilance. It requires choosing your thoughts the way a warrior chooses a weapon. It requires feeling the fear, the doubt, the resistance, and moving anyway. Because every moment you delay your awakening, the world delays in receiving the light only you can give. You do not exist in isolation. Your obedience to your truth ripples out far beyond what your eyes can see. Your alignment activates others. Your decision to believe becomes the permission someone else needs to rise. That's why the enemy of your purpose is not always loud. It is subtle. It sounds like just one more day. It looks like distraction masked as entertainment. It feels like fitting in. But the chosen must live above that frequency. You must wake up and stay awake. This world will offer you everything except the one thing you need: stillness. Because in stillness you remember. In stillness you hear. In stillness the truth rises from within and exposes every lie you've built your life around. And once you see clearly, you cannot go back. You cannot pretend to be blind. So you must protect the stillness, Protect the silence. Protect the spaces where your soul can breathe. This is your sanctuary. This is where the blueprint reveals itself, not through chaos, but through quiet. And it is in these quiet moments, when the noise fades and the masks fall, that you realize you were never waiting on the world to change. You were waiting on yourself to see, to accept, to align. And in that alignment, the world begins to move around you. But the pull to forget is strong. There will be moments when you will want to go back to the familiar, to the version of you that didn't know better, that didn't carry this weight. There is a loneliness that comes with awakening, a solitude that the ego resists. But it is necessary, because there are parts of this journey you cannot outsource. There are initiations no one can walk for you. You must pass through the fire alone. Not because you are being punished, but because your purification is personal. What you are shedding cannot go with you. What you are releasing cannot build the next version of your life. And so the chosen must not only protect their vision, they must protect their process. Everyone wants the promise, but few want the process. But it is the process that shapes you. The waiting, the wilderness, the silence, the seeming stagnation. These are not delays. They are divine design. They are the spaces where your faith is forged, where your identity is stripped of everything false, where your desire is purified until only what is real remains. This is why you must trust the timing, even when it makes no sense. You must believe when there is no evidence. You must persist when others have stopped. Because you are not building something ordinary. You are birthing something eternal. And eternity is not rushed. Destiny is not microwaved. It is cultivated. It is watered with tears, with prayers, with sacrifice, with solitude. And when it comes forth, it does so in power. But you must not abort the process because of pressure. Do not let the world rush you into becoming a counterfeit version of yourself. Do not let time become your enemy. The one who sees within must learn to be patient. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are being refined. And every delay has been divinely appointed to strengthen the very thing you're called to sustain. So protect your timing. Do not measure your life by what others are doing. Do not compare your season to someone else's harvest. You are not on their timeline. You are on divine timing. And divine timing cannot be manipulated. It cannot be forced. But it can be missed if you refuse to align, if you trade presence for performance, if you chase applause instead of authenticity. You must protect your alignment like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your peace is not optional. Your clarity is not negotiable. Your joy is not a luxury. These are your weapons. These are your signs. When you begin to lose them, that is your warning. That is your signal to return to center, to return to truth. Because the moment you abandon your inner knowing to appease the outer world, you begin to decay. Not all death is physical. Sometimes the spirit dies slowly, buried beneath the noise of compromise and the weight of pretending. But it's not too late. You can return, you can remember, you can reclaim your power, not by force but by faith, by believing again, by seeing again, by speaking again those things you buried when life became too loud, too hard, too uncertain. Your words still hold power, your imagination still creates worlds, your attention still directs energy. So where are you placing it? What are you focusing on? What are you feeding with your faith? The chosen one must live intentionally. Nothing is neutral. Every thought is a choice. Every belief is a building block. Every word is a declaration. You must decide now what world you will live in. The world shaped by fear or the one shaped by faith. The world dictated by facts or the one built on truth. The one imposed from the outside or the one drawn from the inside out. And you must decide daily, hourly, moment by moment. Because the world will try to seduce you back into forgetfulness, back into hustle, back into fear. But you are no longer available for that reality. You are no longer entertaining what drains you. You are no longer apologizing for your light. You are no longer shrinking for comfort. You are no longer pretending to be powerless when you know the truth, that your inner world creates the outer. This is the posture of the chosen. We do not react, we create. We do not beg, we assume. We do not strive, we align. We do not panic, we remember. The world may shake, the system may fall, but we are rooted in something eternal. We do not fear the storm because we are the calm. We do not fear the darkness because we carry the light, and we do not fear delay because we are walking in divine order. But we protect it. We protect the word. We protect the dream. We protect the vision. Not because it is fragile, but because it is sacred. And sacred things must be handled with care. So handle your vision with care. Handle your words with care. Handle your spirit with care. This is not weakness, this is wisdom. And wisdom is the chosen one's greatest wealth. So rise up now, not with noise, but with knowing. Not with fear, but with focus. Not with pressure, but with peace. You do not need to convince anyone. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to wait for permission. You are already chosen. The only thing left to do is remember and protect that remembrance until it becomes the only truth you live by. Remember who you are. The world begins to respond differently to you. Not because it has changed, but because you have. You no longer interpret life from the lens of limitation. You no longer beg life to be kind to you. You speak, you declare, you move as one who knows that the very substance of life is waiting for your instruction. It was never the world that needed to shift. It was your self-perception. It was the assumptions you held about yourself that determined the frame through which all things were filtered. And now that you remember, now that the veil has been lifted, now that you have tasted the power of true awareness, you must protect it like treasure. Because the moment you forget, the moment you fall asleep again, the old patterns will return, not because they are stronger than you, but because you allowed them back in. They never left. They were simply starved of your attention. And if you do not guard your attention will be hijacked, not always by evil, but by the ordinary. And for the chosen one, the greatest threat is not always tragedy. It is mediocrity. It is comfort. It is settling for less than what was placed in your spirit to create. You must protect yourself, not from others, but from within, from the subtle voice of your old self that rises when you are tired, when you are vulnerable, when you are uncertain. That voice will try to convince you that the dream is too big, that the promise is too far, that the calling is too weighty. But you are not here to entertain that voice. You are here to speak louder. You are here to override the programming. You are here to declare the truth until your entire being aligns with it. Not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. There is no going back. Once you have tasted truth, once you have glimpsed your divine origin, going back to a smaller life will feel like death. You may try to fit in again, try to play small again, try to hide the light, but you will feel the ache of your own denial. And that ache will remind you, you were not made to dim, you were not made to shrink, you were not made to dilute your power to make others comfortable. You were made to embody the word, to become the living expression of what was spoken over you before the foundations of the world. But embodiment does not happen by accident. It requires focus. It requires reverence. It requires you to stop treating your life like a rehearsal. This is not preparation. This is not the prelude. This is it. This is the moment. And it demands all of you. Not the masked version. Not the version that waits for approval. Not the version that tiptoes around truth. But the full, raw, unfiltered you. The one who knows, deep in their bones, that they carry something eternal. That their imagination is not just fantasy, but blueprint. That their emotions are not just passing waves, but signals of alignment or resistance. So you must be honest with yourself. Every time you abandon your inner knowing to fit into the world's narrative, you diminish your own power. Every time you pretend not to see, not to know, not to feel, you betray the very light you were sent here to carry. This is not the path of the masses. It is the narrow road. It is the unseen walk. It is the invisible discipline of holding fast to the truth when all evidence suggests otherwise. It is the sacred rebellion of choosing to believe, not because of what you see, but because of what you know. And what you know must become the foundation of all things. Not a hope, not a wish. And knowing, a certainty that cannot be shaken by circumstance, that cannot be weakened by delay, that cannot be uprooted by doubt. This knowing is your anchor, and you must return to it daily, because the waves will come, the storms will rise, The opinions will multiply, but your knowing is eternal. Your knowing is divine. And it is this knowing that you must protect more fiercely than anything else. There will be moments when you are misunderstood. Moments when those closest to you cannot comprehend the shift happening within. Do not let their confusion become your cage. You were not called to convince them. You were called to transform. And transformation is not always visible at first. Sometimes it happens underground, in silence, in solitude. Sometimes it is only later that the fruit reveals what was growing in secret all along. So do not rush to prove yourself. Do not waste your energy trying to be seen. Your being is enough. Your alignment is enough. And when you are truly aligned, the right doors will open, the right people will find you, and the right timing will unfold without effort. But if you compromise your identity for visibility, if you trade authenticity for attention, you will build a life that looks good on the outside, but leaves your soul starving. You must protect your energy. Like a sacred well, not everyone is meant to drink from you. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every opportunity is an assignment. You must discern, not from fear, but from alignment. The more you live from the inner world, the more obvious the outer world becomes. You will begin to see the difference between noise and truth, between distraction and direction, between flattery and favor. And you must follow the inner compass, without apology, even when it makes no sense, even when others question it, even when it seems risky. Because the inner guidance never leads you astray. It leads you deeper into your own becoming, and in that becoming you will face resistance. Not because you're wrong, but because you're disrupting everything false around you. Your light will expose what others have buried. Your truth will rattle the cages they've chosen to live in. And in doing so, you may feel alone. But do not mistake solitude for abandonment. The chosen are often hidden before they are revealed. They are refined before they are released. So you must embrace the hidden seasons, the quiet places, the sacred in-between. This is where your roots grow deep. This is where your spirit becomes unshakable. This is where the fire within is purified. So that when you rise with power, not hype, not noise. Power, the kind of power that cannot be faked. The kind of power that comes from one who has died to the old self and awakened to the eternal self. That is the destiny of the chosen one, to die to illusion and awaken to truth. But awakening is not a one-time event. It is a daily decision. It is a continual shedding of what no longer serves, a constant recalibration, a willingness to be emptied again and again so you can be filled with what is real. And each time you choose truth over comfort, alignment over appearance, purpose over popularity, you evolve, you rise, you become. And in becoming you will find that you are no longer the person who started this journey. You have outgrown the identities that once defined you. You have outgrown the stories that once held you captive. You have outgrown the places that once felt like home. This is the cost of elevation, and you must not mourn the loss of what no longer fits. Let it fall away. Let it dissolve. Let the shedding happen without resistance. Because what you are stepping into requires all of you, the real you, the whole you, the fearless you. Not the version that plays it safe, not the version that pleases everyone, but the version that lives from truth, breathes from spirit, moves from vision. This version of you is not afraid to protect what matters, not afraid to walk alone, if necessary, not afraid to let go of what was for the sake of what is becoming. And you are becoming, not later, not someday, now, with every breath, every choice, every thought. You are shaping the future, not just for yourself, but for everyone connected to your obedience. Your rising is not selfish. Your light is not just for you. Your healing is not in isolation. As you awaken others. As you rise, you lift others. As you become, you call others into their own becoming. But it begins with protection, with intention, with awareness. You must become the gatekeeper of your own soul. You must decide what gets access, what gets your attention, what gets your agreement. Because what you agree with, you empower. What you allow, you attract. What you tolerate, you live with. But you were not chosen to tolerate anything less than truth. You were chosen to live in the fullness of divine identity. You were chosen to embody the kingdom within. You were chosen to walk in power, in peace, in purpose. So choose now, not from fear, but from truth. Choose to protect the vision. Choose to protect your energy. Choose to protect your inner peace. Because from that space, all things flow. From that space, the impossible becomes inevitable. From that space, you move mountains, not by force, but by faith. Not by striving, but by being. And so you return, again and again, to the stillness, to the knowing, to the truth that sets you free. And you protect it not just for yourself, but for the world waiting to see what happens when a chosen one finally remembers. The world is not waiting for another imitation. It is not crying out for another voice echoing the noise of fear. It is groaning for the appearance of those who dare to walk in the fullness of their divine inheritance. The chosen are not selected to blend in. They are born to disrupt, to dismantle illusions, to awaken those who sleep under the spell of limitation. But that awakening comes at a price. It comes with warfare, first within. The battle is not out there. It is in the mind. It is in the heart. It is in the constant moment-by-moment decision to live from truth, not reaction. You must guard your thoughts like sacred ground, because every thought you allow is planting something. The chosen cannot afford to plant seeds of fear, of doubt, of self-rejection. You must become aware of what you are feeding. You must become deliberate about what you believe, not what you say you believe, but what you actually live by, what you act on, what you assume without questioning. That is the soil from which your entire reality grows. So if the fruit in your life is bitter, do not blame the conditions, examine the root. Go within, adjust the soil of your inner world, because the chosen do not wait for the world to shift. They shift within, and the world mirrors them. That is the sacred order. That is the eternal law. As within, so without. As above, so below. The unawakened seek change externally. The awakened become the change. They understand that nothing is more dangerous to illusion than a mind aligned with truth. That is why you must protect your awareness, because awareness is power, and those who walk in it walk differently. They don't need to shout. Their very presence speaks. But with awareness comes responsibility. You cannot unknow what you've seen. You cannot go back to playing the victim once you realize you are the creator. You cannot return to bondage once you've tasted freedom. Not truly. You might attempt it, but your soul will resist. Your spirit will cry out. The dissonance will be too loud to ignore. And eventually you will return to truth. Not because you are forced, but because you are called. The calling doesn't leave. It waits. It whispers. It reminds you, even in your silence, that there is more. It pulls on your heart when you try to settle. It shakes your world when you try to numb. Because the chosen are not allowed to sleep forever. The awakening must happen. The birthing must come. And the labor cannot be avoided. It is not comfortable. It is not clean. But it is holy. And it is necessary. So when life begins to shake, when relationships fall away, when plans dissolve, do not curse the chaos. Look deeper. Ask what is being made room for. Ask what is being purged. Because the chosen cannot carry dead weight into destiny. You cannot build what is sacred on a foundation of compromise. You cannot walk into promise carrying the baggage of past identities. That is why the process is painful. Not because you are being punished, but because you are being pruned. And pruning feels like loss to the flesh, but to the spirit it is gain. It is freedom. It is space for the new to emerge. The chosen must learn to bless the breaking, to embrace the silence, to find peace in the wilderness, because these are the proving grounds of purpose. It is in these hidden places that clarity comes, not through noise, but through surrender, through letting go of the ego's grip, through releasing the need to control every outcome. That's when you remember you were never meant to chase anything. You were meant to become the vibration of what you desire and let it come to you by law. The law cannot be broken, but you must align with it. You must submit to the flow of divine order. And submission is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is power cloaked in humility. It is the recognition that you are not here to force, but to flow, to align so deeply with the divine that your life becomes a living prayer, an embodiment of the sacred, a reflection of truth in form. But that embodiment demands protection. Protection of your thoughts, protection of your tongue, protection of your gaze. Because where your attention goes, your urine flows, and where your energy flows, your world forms. So stop giving your attention to what drains you. Stop feeding cycles that no longer serve. Stop watering seeds of doubt just because they are familiar. Familiarity is not freedom. Comfort is not calling. You must get uncomfortable enough to grow. You must leave the known to walk into the unseen. That is the territory of the chosen faith. And faith is not fantasy. It is not denial of reality. It is deeper vision. It is seeing beyond the senses. It is knowing what the world cannot show you yet, and holding to that knowing until it becomes flesh. The chosen lead by vision. They move by inner guidance. They are not swayed by trends, by opinions, by the sway of the world. Because their compass is internal, their instruction comes from the secret place. And so they must protect that place. Protect it from noise, from overexposure, from anything that would dull the edge of clarity. Because clarity is costly, it must be fought for. It must be preserved. And when you have it, you must act on it. Because to see and not move is to fall back asleep. And for the chosen, sleep is not an option. Not now, not when the hour is so urgent. There is a window of grace open to you now, the door into deeper knowing, a divine invitation to step fully into who you are. But you must answer it. You must respond. You must prepare yourself to carry what you've been shown. Because revelation without responsibility becomes fantasy. And you were not given dreams to escape. You were given dreams to build, to ground heaven into earth, to manifest the invisible through the temple of your being. You are the vessel. You are the channel. You are the point of contact between the eternal and the temporal. Do not take that lightly. This is why you must protect your temple, your body, your mind, your time. You cannot afford to waste what has been entrusted to you. You cannot afford to live as if this moment is not sacred, because it is. Every second is a chance to realign. Every breath is a chance to return. And every choice is casting a vote for the reality you wish to live in. So choose with reverence. Choose with conviction. Choose with the awareness that your life is not random, that your presence is purposeful, that you were sent here not just to survive, but to awaken, to illuminate, to break cycles, to speak truth, to shift atmospheres simply by being in alignment with yourself. That is the legacy of the chosen, not just what they do, but what they are. Walking mirrors of the divine, living evidence of what happens when heaven finds a willing vessel. But willingness alone is not enough. It must be matched with discipline, with devotion, with consistent action. You cannot build on occasional inspiration. You must anchor into daily intention. You must rise and choose again and again and again, until what was once effort becomes nature, until the truth is no longer something you practice, but something you are, until you no longer need to remind yourself, because your very breath affirms it. I am chosen. I am light. I am the vessel. I am the Word made flesh. And when you reach that point, when your being and your belief are one, you become untouchable. Not because you are immune to pain, but because you are anchored in purpose. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become unshakable. Your identity is no longer in what you have, or what you do, or who approves of you. Your identity is sealed in spirit, and that seal is protected by your awareness, guarded by your decisions, and strengthened by your obedience. So protect it. Fiercely, daily, silently, if you must. Let the world wonder what changed. Let them question your glow. You do not need to explain. You do not need to convince. You need only to be fully, fearlessly, faithfully. And in your being, you will become a lighthouse for others, a signpost for those still wandering, a signal to the weary that it is safe to wake up, that it is safe to rise, that it is safe to remember. Because when one chosen one remembers, it sets off a chain reaction. It ignites something ancient in others. It reminds them of what they've always known, and that is the true power of awakening. It is never just about you, it is about everyone connected to your yes. Everyone watching your becoming, everyone whose chains are loosened just by witnessing you walk in freedom. So, protect your freedom, protect your truth, protect the sacred fire within. For it is not just a light to guide you, it is a torch to lead generations. And you must understand this. You carry more than just your own destiny. Your life is a blueprint, a pattern, a testimony being read by hearts you may never meet. They are watching not just what you say, but how you live, how you recover, how you stand when everything tries to make you fall. You are becoming the living proof that it's possible to rise from the ashes, to speak light into darkness, to rebuild a world that once crumbled under the weight of fear and forgetfulness. And so you must protect yourself, not out of paranoia, but out of honor. Not because you're afraid of being attacked, but because you are finally beginning to value what's inside you. You are not here to convince the darkness that you are light. You are here to shine, to be, to embody. And sometimes in that shining, you will expose the shadows that others are still hiding in. Do not let their discomfort dim your light. Do not reduce yourself to make others feel safe. The truth does not apologize for being the truth. The light does not apologize for revealing what was hidden. You do not need to shrink so others can breathe easy. The breath in your body is sacred. It was given for a reason. It was given so that you could speak, create, and bring forth what this world is lacking. There is a roar in your belly that will not be silenced until you speak the words that were always yours to release. There is a vision in your mind that will not leave you alone, because it is not just an idea. It is instruction. It is blueprint. It is divine architecture seeking form. And you are the only one who can build it. That's why it won't let you rest. That's why every attempt to conform, to be normal, to fit in, has always felt like dying slowly. Because something in you knows the cost of ignoring the call. You can pretend not to be chosen. You can try to blend in. You can try to numb yourself with busyness, distraction, and approval. But the ache will return. The ache of knowing you are meant for more. The ache of seeing what others cannot see and carrying what others do not understand. And eventually that ache will either break you open or bury you under your own denial. That is the choice the chosen must face. Will you embrace the discomfort of becoming or settle for the illusion of safety? Safety is an illusion. Control is an illusion. The only real safety is in alignment. The only real protection is in awareness. And when you are truly aware, you are not afraid. You move differently, not in fear but in power. You know what to say no to. You know when to walk away. You know when something is not in resonance with your path. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to explain it. You just know. And that knowing becomes your shield. That knowing becomes your compass. But the moment you stop protecting that knowing, you begin to drift. You begin to question what was once clear. You begin to let the voices of others override the still small voice within. And soon you find yourself disconnected. Not because the truth left, but because you stopped listening. That's why protection is not a one-time act. It is a lifestyle, a way of being, a sacred discipline. You don't just protect yourself from harm. You protect yourself from forgetfulness. You protect yourself from becoming numb to the very thing that makes you divine, your awareness, your presence, your connection. And when you live from that place, when your inner world becomes more real to you than anything outside, you step into a different dimension of life. You begin to move with grace, speak with authority, walk with intention. You begin to shape reality, not through effort, but through alignment. Your words carry weight. Your silence carries power. Your very being becomes a force of transformation, not because you are better, but because you are aware, because you are awake. And awakeness is rare. Not everyone wants it. Many would rather stay asleep. Many would rather live in the safety of conformity, in the numbness of distraction, in the ease of ignorance. But not you. Something in you kept searching, kept asking, kept knocking, and now the door has opened. Now the veil has lifted. Now the real work begins. And the work is this: to stay awake, to remain faithful to the inner voice, even when the outer world is loud, to choose truth even when fear offers easier paths, to show up every day as the version of yourself that already knows, already sees, already is. That is your task. That is your calling, to embody the highest truth, not once, but always. And in doing so, to become a living invitation for others to remember as well. There will be those who cannot receive you. Do not let that discourage you. The chosen are not sent to be understood. They are sent to shift atmospheres, to disturb false peace, to ignite dormant spirits, and sometimes that means being resisted. Sometimes that means being rejected. Sometimes that means walking alone. But you are never truly alone. The moment you align with truth, you align with all of heaven. You are carried, you are backed, you are held. And that knowing must become your confidence. Not the opinions of men, not the accolades of the world, not the temporary validation of the crowd, but the eternal assurance that you are walking in divine timing, divine authority, divine protection. When you know that, truly know it, you become fearless, not reckless, but rooted, not arrogant, but anchored. And from that place, your decisions are no longer based on fear. They are based on truth. Your pace is no longer frantic. It is intentional. Your presence is no longer reactive. It is creative. You begin to create from the inside out, not just with your hands, but with your words, your thoughts, your assumptions. You begin to notice how the energy you carry affects everything. And so you become more mindful, more reverent, more protective. You stop leaking energy on things that are beneath your calling. You stop explaining your peace. You stop negotiating your standards. You stop playing with fire and calling it love. You stop giving time to what drains your soul. Because now you see clearly. Now you remember. And with that memory comes power. Power to choose. Power to create. Power to command. Not in the way the world defines power, but in the truest sense. The power to be without fear, to stand without apology, to live without compromise. And that is the power that shakes systems. That is the power that births movements. That is the power that transforms generation. But it must be protected. Because anything powerful will be tested. You will be tempted to return to what is familiar. You will be invited to compromise in subtle ways. You will be presented with opportunities that look good, but are not aligned. And in those moments, you must be rooted enough to say no, rooted enough to wait, rooted enough to walk away from what glitters but does not resonate. Because you know what's at stake. You know what you carry. You know who you are. And when you know who you are, everything changes. Your yes becomes sacred. Your time becomes precious. Your presence becomes intentional. You stop entertaining anything that does not honor your truth. And in that stance, you become magnetic. Not because you are chasing anything, but because you are aligned with everything you are meant to attract. What is yours finds you. What is not yours fades. You no longer need to force, convince, or strive. You simply are. And in being, you draw all things into divine order. So remember who you are. Protect who you are. Live as who you are. Because the world is shifting. The veil is thinning. The hour is now. The illusions are collapsing. And those who are chosen must rise. Not someday, not eventually, but now. Now is the time. Now is the call. Now is the moment where everything can change. But only if you say yes. Only if you protect the treasure within. Only if you walk like one who knows the kingdom is not coming. The kingdom is here, and it is within you. So stand tall in this knowing. You are not here by accident. You are not imagining your purpose. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be, hearing exactly what you were meant to hear, remembering what your spirit has always known. You are chosen not for comfort, but for impact. Not to mimic the world, but to remake it through your alignment, your awareness, and your unwavering protection of the truth within you. Protect it before it's too late, because the hour is urgent. The time for hesitation is over. Let every breath you take from this moment forward be a declaration: I will not shrink. I will not forget. I will not abandon the fire I carry. I will rise. And in rising, I will awaken everything around me, not by force, but by simply being all that I am, fully, boldly, divinely. You are the sign. You are the light. You are the proof that the divine still walks the earth. Now walk it like you know.